Now, how did China become economically stronger today? I would say number one economy in the world as per production is concerned and as per capital is concerned. But officially, America is still rated as number one economy in the world. But I'll say it's China. Now, how did China get here? It was simply because of the greed of the Western companies, Western countries, corporate leaders. They were very greedy. They needed so much money. They needed so much wealth. They needed so much influence. They already had it. They needed more. And that is how China became what it is today. How? Very simple. Now, back since America industrial revolution became number one in the world, became manufacturing hub in the world. Now, at the same time, Japan became also number one economy at the point in the world because of its manufacturing capacity. Things that Japan used to produce was top-notch quality. Now, again, after America became number one, since from 1940, after 1945 Second World War, the workers in America, they have a union. Now, when these unions start asking for more benefits, more allowances, more pay, and all that, these CEOs of the corporate companies in America and in the West, they don't like that. Upon all the humongous salary and allowances that the CEOs of American companies have, they still greedy enough to not agree to increase just by little percentages the wages and allowances of their workers. So, with the union fighting them, they don't want to be shut down. So what do they want? They want to secure their production and at the same time maximize their profit and allowances. So how did they do that? They schemed up to start moving some factories, some of their production outfits, to areas where there is cheap labor. And which country has the highest population in the world with the largest workforce, tireless workforce, and the cheapest workforce around the world? It was China then. So they went to China. China opened this door and encouraged them to bring their companies, their factories to China for assembly, purposes. They bring the products, they assemble them in China, they have the workers, and China opened the door, give them land, give them tax reliefs, and they come there and open these factories. For example, like an iPhone product, they go there, assemble it, and they're still going to sell it as if it's an American product. You're not going to see it made in China as at that time that it started. iPhone is an American product, but you may see assembled in China. So when it's assembled in China, it's still taken back to America as an American product. So it's not like it's going to pay import duty, import tax, or whatever. They already have other arrangement with the government. It's an American product. But the profit that they were making, just going to give you an example, jumped from like 100 billion a year to like 1 trillion a year. Now that's 10 times the profit. That's huge. Okay? They didn't believe it. They got all excited and every one of them started jumping in. Okay? Now, it got to a point because those workers in America, if you're paying an American assembly plant worker like $15 an hour, minimum wage then was, $7.50. Now you paying an assembly plant worker, for example, like, General Motors assembly plant, or, say, Chevy trucks assembly plant, you're paying them $15 an hour. In China, you're going to pay a worker 50 cents an hour. 50 cents. Maybe the managers like $5. $5 with the managers that are highly educated managers. $5 an hour. In America, a manager there in a plant, you're not going to pay him or her like $15 an hour. Looking at $30, $35 an hour. Or like $25 an hour. So you do the margin difference. It's huge difference. China was still very happy. Chinese citizens were still very happy to receive that 50 cents an hour. Because they didn't have it better. They have this massive population, but the work was not there. And most of these Chinese citizens were in rural areas, in the villages, farming, doing karate, kung fu and all that. Okay? A lot of them becoming monks. So American industry, European industry started going to China, open factories, and these factories were producing products. But guess what? Within a short time, you see Chinese workers started learning this stuff. The Chinese already know this. They already planned all this. They already have this set up. They already groomed their people to learn these things. So the Chinese workers started learning these things, learning how these things are being made, to a point where Chinese government actually even made some of these Western countries to start manufacturing those products, those items, those parts in China, still with cheap labor. The resources that they needed to even make those products, cobalt, silver, gold, copper, platinums, whatever it is, China was busy going to Africa to bring them at even a cheaper rate and supplying them to these corporate bodies in China. And that's how these companies start producing these things and making so much profit, growing, Chinese people started learning this stuff. And what does China do? While these things was going on, China brought out a chunk of their own budget, chunk of their own money from their education budget, and start sending Chinese citizens to the Western world. Go and learn these things, boys and girls. Go and learn it from where these people learn these things. Learn. Go spend our money, learn. But you must come back. Because if you don't come back, your family will be gone. You're not going to go there with your wife or with your father, with your mother, with your auntie, with your cousins and nephews. You're not going to go there with them. Nah, you're going alone. And when you finish, you come back. If you don't come back, your family can vanish overnight. So you must go back. So they send these people, millions of them, all around the world, millions. UK, Canada, America, Europe, Germany, all over to learn everything. And they did. Because they're smart. They send them the hardest heads, the most intelligent ones, they send them abroad. And they came and they learned these things, got serious skills, education, and they started coming back. Okay? And then China immersed them into these companies, these Western corporate companies that has been operating in China. These things happen in a very short time, man. Now, they learn those education, they come back, they can become managers, supervisors, this, that. They learn these things fast. And then they will break out, start their own. This one will break out, start its own. This one will break out, start its own. When you want to start, Chinese government is right there to give you the startup capital, loan that you need to start what you want to start. Just present a very good business plan. So they supported them. They supported all of them. All the scientists, the engineers supported them. And that's how China started growing their manufacturing base, their industrial base, and brought it to this top notch. That today, China is the #1 best railway builder. They have the fastest railway in the world, leaving behind America that first had rails, that had the fastest at the time. China was trying to, start all this, and Europe, leaving them behind, like more than 10 years behind. Because as it is right now, Chinese companies are bidding to build railways in America. They're already building railways in Europe. Europeans used to be the masters in this stuff. So China have beaten them to their game. These things that Chinese learn from them, China has so perfected it, they're now teaching them, building for them, building bridges here in Europe and in America. China builds bridges in China like you're making breakfast. Piece of cake to them. That's how advanced and successful they are.